as I said earlier, I went to see Shrek Forever After on my birthday last Monday. No, 2 Mondays ago now. And unfortunately it was in 3D. They only do it in 3D. Now some movies you get the choice. I mean, Avatar did it. You either go to see it in 2D or 3D. No, Shrek is only in 3D. Well, I don't know if it is other cinemas, but our cinema, it was only in 3D. So, but I wanted to see it. I'm a massive fan of the Shrek series. Not so much Shrek 3, but I don't dislike it as much as other people do. To be honest, I was trying to remember what had happened in Shrek the Third, and I was kind of like, I can't remember. And I was like, oh wait, oh, it had the frogs singing "Live and Let Die" at the Frog King's funeral. And then I remembered that he had, you know, and obviously as a result he was dead, and I remembered that Fiona was pregnant. So, and then I was like, oh yeah, that was the one with Justin Timberlake. Ah, that was forgettable. No, I mean, I don't mean that in any disrespect to Justin Timberlake, but I just really didn't remember it. 1 and 2, I could tell you, you know, kind of off the top of my head, everything that happens. But 3, I was just like, no. So, before I went along to see, and basically, literally the basic plot is Shrek is fed up of being the kind of, like, if you will, showbiz kind of ogre. He's no longer seen as this big, scary, threatening ogre. He's now essentially the joke. He's like, you know, the freak show where everybody's like, oh, do the roar, you know, go and do it. And because he's at this party for his and Fiona's, it's their first, I think it was their first birthday party, and he just completely feels out of place, and he makes a wish that he was the big scary ogre again that everybody, you know, feared. And Fiona's kind of like, you know, why you've got all your family and this, that and the other, and he's like, but I want to be scary. So he's going around, he leaves the party all humpy and everything, and Rumpelstiltskin turns up and literally cons Shrek into, oh, I should have warned, spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, turn away now. But he literally cons Shrek into making a wish that he was an ogre for a day, and essentially signing this contract. But as a result, he has to trade in one of his days, and he's like, what does that mean? And basically he's told, oh, it'll be from your past. And he's like, okay, well, it turns out that that day from his past was his birth, and he doesn't exist in this alternate reality. And as a result, you know, Fiona ended up stuck in the tower, nobody came to save her. Although I do take issue with that, because Prince Charming was on his way to meet her. So, in, you know, Shrek 2, or, you know, kind of Shrek 2, he turns up, and she's already been taken. So, I don't understand that part, because he was on his way. I guess they couldn't get Rupert Everett back. But, but, you know, she wasn't saved, so she's bitter, and she's got herself out, and she's kind of this Iron Woman, you know, kind of power, and it turns out Rumpelstiltskin has taken over. He has conned the king and queen, so that now he has the kingdom, and he made them disappear, so Fiona doesn't even have her parents anymore. You know, so Puss is now, like, huge because he's being looked after by Fiona, who literally pampers him into oblivion. And it's all very fun and silly, but it's also very dark, and I think that's something that happened. 2 started to get that hint of element of darkness. 3 was a lot darker, but this one is even darker while still maintaining the humour element. And I think that's why maybe some people are having issue with it. I actually genuinely enjoyed it. What I didn't like was the 3D. The 3D was awful and pointless. You know, when growing up, I couldn't do the old blue, green, red glasses because of my eyesight condition. The two different lenses just didn't work. It didn't compute. The new glasses I can do because they are the combined colours together in the same lens kind of thing, but they do give me a bit of a headache after a while. But I put up with them. But it seemed pointless. Nothing really. There was only a couple of you could see in the movie that they were trying for that leap at you kind of, oh, you know, witches flying at the screen kind of approach. But I didn't feel really like approached and kind of, well, like in, say, Avatar. It actually did feel as if some things were jumping out at you. The only real things that felt as if things were jumping out was at one point when something exploded and the screen went black and there was all these little white dots kind of floating over there. That was kind of like, ooh, it felt like you were drugs actually, but it was actually really, that was the only thing that was good. And I'm sorry, if 3D only works when the screen's blank all but for a few fiery flyer things on the screen, then that is definitely pointless. And also, I don't see the point of animation being in 3D. But anyway, 3D for me is a gimmick. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 3D didn't work at all. Rumpelstiltskin, not voiced, I don't think, by somebody because he was one of the like producers or directors or something on it. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head. But it was funny when, because he had different wigs, and he's this like little guy, and he looks like the old 80s trolls, and one of the wigs they put on him, it was literally like this cone of hair standing upright, and you just wanted to grab him and like shake him and do different hairstyles on him. It was fun and silly, but I tell you what, although it's like 90 odd minutes long, I came out and I felt it didn't feel as if anything had actually happened. You get taken on this, I kid you not, amazingly weird roller coaster of emotions, because you've got the darkness and you've got the silliness and you've got some humour, not as much as obviously like I say the first two. You got this, you go out and you're like on this you know, you're having fun and joking and everything, and you dip because like there's these really deep emotional moments between like Shrek and Fiona, and Shrek realising that he's, you know, lost his family in this reality and he's got to try and find a way to get, you know, his world back. And especially the ending, which I won't spoil, but I tell you, I sat there and I was crying my eyes out. I was like, oh my god, not crying, but you know when you feel all kind of all bunged up, that kind of emotion. But despite this kind of roller coaster of emotion, I come out and the story just felt as if nothing had happened. I don't know if it was because the movie was too short or what. I mean, you couldn't go really any longer because then it would have felt too long. But it just felt as if it was like this moral story of, you know, don't take for granted what you've got, essentially. And that was it. And I just felt as if there had been no way near any kind of story depth as there were in the original two. Now they've said this one was the last, but I tell you what, when I went to see Shrek 3, they said that they had contracted 4 and 5, which just infuriated me lots, because I was like, no, 3 should be the end. But, you know, I'm glad they did 4, because like I said, I did enjoy 4. When Mike Myers did a recent TV interview, they said, so this is the end, and he was like, oh, we'll see how it does. I was like, no, this is supposed to be the end. So I'm telling you, if 5 actually does happen, I will be so, you know, I'm kind of, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm still a bit frustrated that they've done a Toy Story 3, no matter how much I love the Toy Stories. But, I just leave it now. It should be just done and dusted. Leave the Shrek franchise as it is for as long, you know, let people remember the good ones. And like I say, this was fun. I enjoyed it. And I actually do recommend it because it was a fun kind of emotional roller coaster. And with some very funny kind of visual gags in.